Okay, so I'm back in Stellenbosch. It was a wonderful week in Groningen. This is going to be part one of a two-part vlog, just to be able to upload it to YouTube, which has a 15-minute limit. The first part of this vlog will be about the ethics of care, and do come and have a look for the second part, which Professor Fritz de Lange will specifically discuss his project on loving later life, aging and the ethics of care. So this is part one, part two will follow. Okay, so I'm sitting here at the Protestant Theological University, and today I'm sitting with Professor Fritz de Lange. Hi Fritz.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hi Dion. I'm fine. Fine. How about you?
Yeah, doing great, doing great. Fritz, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is your theological discipline?
My discipline is ethics, and my special interest is in healthcare ethics and in the ethics of care.
Okay. Yeah, certainly. I mean, Fritz, one of the questions that I want to ask you before we speak specifically about the ethics of care and aging is, I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about the ethics of care. What exactly is the ethics of care? What differentiates it perhaps from the ethics of justice, and just give us a little bit of an insight into the discipline.
Okay, yeah, it's not really a discipline. I think it's a style of doing ethics. So it's the ethics of care is the first misunderstanding, that the ethics of care only deals with healthcare, is healthcare ethics. But the ethics of care has a completely has a different history, and has also has a much broader scope than only healthcare. So it's related to education, to politics in general. It's a very political kind of doing ethics. So the ethics of care, it started with women. So it has a feministic background, a background in the feministic political philosophy. Traditionally, or at least you could say in most of the cultures, women are responsible for care, care for the children, for the household, and so etc. And these women, these feminist thinkers in the early 80s of the last century, started to problematize that and to explore it in the sense that okay, if it's true that we are the carers, what does that mean? What is care? And should only we be caring for our families and for our children and for our household, or whose responsibility is the care? And so the ethics of care takes care as the most fundamental aspect, the most fundamental dimension of human life. Everyone, every man, every woman, every child, is caring about him or herself, caring about others, caring about the environment. So every morning you get up, you care for yourself, and you care for you. But in the history, at least in the European history of the last 3 centuries, and far back, care has become the responsibility only of women. Care has been privatized and closed behind the front door, so women should care for the children and doing the kitchen and so the critical question that feminist theologians philosophers start to ask is who is responsible for care? Can the care that is a very fundamental issue in our daily life, can the care be shared in a responsible and in a just way? So justice is part of the ethics of care, and it's a political kind of ethics. So, and later on, these feminist political thinkers, they share their ideas with men like me, and I think I agree. So there is still a very there's this gender kind of aspect that I think is still very relevant in the sharing of responsibilities of care, and so I think that there is need of a feminist dimension in the ethics of care, but it's not a feminist affair anymore. It's just it is a political ethics that looks at society under from the perspective of how is care, who takes care of who takes responsibility of care in society.
Now, Fritz, one of the introductions that I had to this particular discourse was through the work of Carol Gilligan, and then particularly in terms of politics, the work of Joan Tronto. And one of the concepts that challenged me very deeply was the notion of associative and disassociative care. I have a daughter who is 16 and a son who is 9, and thinking, about how we model care in our home, and what kind of care is associated with the masculine and what kind of care is associated with the feminine, and how our children come to associate certain kinds of care with gender, and it just seems like such a crazy sort of social construction. So this has been quite a challenging sort of aspect of my own ethical development in thinking about it.
Yeah, of mine as well, I can say, because I have a grandson now.
Yes.
And so he's 16 months about that, and he starts playing with cars. Nobody consciously started giving him cars instead of dolls. But why he's not playing with dolls? Why? And so I heard a brain expert talking about difference in gender, that boys are more oriented towards movement and girls more towards faces. And that would explain that boys are they like to play with cars and girls with dolls. But it's strange. So I think there's all kinds of theories about it, how culture induces this kind of gender differences and so. But I discover it now myself with my grandson. I really like him seeing play with cars, but why? I don't give him dolls. That must be the but it's really a question. I don't think you can say that it's natural for women to care. It's natural for women to be pregnant and to be mother, like it's natural for man to be father. But it's not. It doesn't mean that. That women should care all the way down. So it's. I think it's a puzzle also for me.
Well, Fritz, thanks so much for talking to us today about your research. I'm going to ask you one last question. This is always the trick question. Can you make one or two suggestions for the viewers of the blog? Things perhaps that they could read. Give them the title of your book. We'll also link it in the show notes. But maybe begin with your book, and then one or two other things around aging, but also around the ethics of care that our viewers could read.
So starting with the ethics of care, you already mentioned the name of Carol Gilligan and Joan Tronto. I think Joan Tronto is very well known about her early book Moral Boundaries, but I think you should also read Caring Democracy. I think for, ethics of care and the political relevance of it, also and especially I think in countries like South Africa, read her book. My book is called Loving Later Life, as I said before, an ethics of aging, and it's published with Eerdmans, Grand Rapids, and for all. I've wrote several nice articles. They're all online on www.fritsdelange.nl.
Fantastic. Fritz, we're going to put a link to that in the show notes. My thanks to you. Let's see if we can get us both in frame there. My thanks to you today, Fritz, for being on the vlog. I really appreciate it, and thanks for hosting us this week in Groningen. It's a beautiful city.
Well, thank you, Dion. It was nice having you here.
Yeah. Thanks. So thanks for watching today's vlog. Remember, it's not a lecture, it's just a thought. And if you found it interesting, please subscribe. You'll get the videos as they come out. Like the video, and hook up with me on Instagram or Beme or on my website dionforster.com. So thanks for watching.